Watch how
YouTube
reacts when we
make transformative content.
No, permission not granted. Oh no, somebody's going to get an email. What's a better, more acceptable solution? That's right.
YouTube's copyright system sucks. Hard. Literally every video I've uploaded, I've had to re-edit like 5 times just to squeak past YouTube's copyright system. But that is not the point of this video. I just needed to rant real quick because I am frustrated. But what I am talking about today are the 3 best shonen protagonists ever written. What makes a good shonen protagonist? Usually it's a well-written character with unique personality and an interesting life story. A character who is a perfect fit for the story they are in and has a personality that embodies the piece of work they are a part of. But of course, our subconscious biases come into play as well. These biases come from characters who we see ourselves in, or characters we wish we were, or that we idolize or look up to. Whether you consciously notice it or not, these personal biases are subconsciously affecting all of us, which can make it a little difficult to distinguish the difference between our favorite and the characters we think are the best. Due to this reason, I'm going to address my biases for each of these characters in this video, so you, the viewer, can judge how much of my own personal biases are affecting my opinion, so you can make the decision for yourself how amazing these 3 characters are. The first shonen protagonist I want to talk about today is subjectively probably my least favorite of these 3 characters, but objectively from a writing and storytelling standpoint, he's probably the best, that character being Gon from Hunter x Hunter. Hunter x Hunter is what I consider to be peak shonen. But you might ask, what exactly is shonen? Usually it's take a kid to young adult, drop them in an interesting, mysterious, dark world with magical powers, and see how things work out. Yes, I know there's take a kid and put him on a sports team, or in a school, and many other subgenres of anime, but I'm talking about this kind of shonen. You know, your Dragon Balls, My Hero, Magi, One Piece, Bleach, Naruto. I could go on, but I won't. My point is, Hunter x Hunter perfects this concept. Look at Gon. He's a kid, like an actual kid. Naturally gifted, but nonetheless mentally a child. And we see that throughout the story. He can be childly selfish and views right and wrong through the narrow lens of his life experiences. Gon is not an experienced person before he starts his journey. He lived a very sheltered life with his aunt Mito and learned mostly to live by the laws of nature through his experiences growing up in the wilderness. His aunt even lied to him and told him his father is dead instead of telling him he was a hunter, Gon only learning this from Kite at a young age after Kite saved Gon in the forest. Gon's backstory really helps explain his childish mindset throughout the story, as well as his survival of the fittest mentality during the hunter exam that people often criticize him for. This is where my and many other people's personal biases comes in, because Gon acts and reacts like a realistic child most of the time, much like many of us did as kids. We tried our best as we were growing up to do what we thought was the right thing, but we were children and we're human. We're not always right and we make mistakes, and we learn from them, much like Gon did. This leads to why I think Gon is the most well-written character in this type of shonen, because he realistically reacts how a child would if a kid was dropped into this deep, dark, dangerous world. If you take someone who is not yet mentally developed and put him in a dangerous, mysterious place such as the world of Hunter x Hunter and many other shonens, realistically he's not always going to do the best thing. He's probably also going to mentally deteriorate, because a child's brain most of the time can't handle a world like this. It can't handle that pressure. Togashi crafted a magical, strange world filled with many interesting and dark characters with an in-depth power system that makes sense, and dropped an actual child in that world and had him react to that world in a way that, at least to me, felt very real. And that is what makes Hunter x Hunter and the character of Gon so good. The next character I want to talk about is someone you can probably already guess if you see my track record on this channel. This character is the one I am probably the most biased towards because I see so much of myself in this character, that character being Sakata Gintoki from Gintama. You might ask, is Gintama even really a shonen? Isn't it a parody of shonen? Which, yes, you are right, but it also very much feels like a shonen at the same time, so I'm gonna go with it. I relate to Sakata Gintoki in more ways than I would care to admit. He's sarcastic, depressed, comically unlucky, likes his sweets, has trouble telling those in his life how he feels, isn't afraid to play dirty, he jokes his way through life, he complains about Hunter x Hunter constantly going on hiatus, and a lot of people in his life would say he's too old to be reading Shonen Jump. Now, I'm not just like Gin. I don't have an ungodly amount of Chad power, my hair, although naturally wavy, is not silver, I do not own a motorized scooter, and gambling is not one of my vices. But because of all the traits we do share, I get so much more enjoyment and inspiration watching him make those relationships with others that actually make him happy, as well as seeing him take on these absurdly powerful enemies to protect those friends and sometimes even the world. But my biases are not the only reason I like Gin. He's just a well-written character. He's funny, tragic, unique, and exactly the kind of protagonist a story like Gintama needs. I can't think of any type of character that would be as perfect for a story like Gintama as Gin. That is another thing that makes Gin such a great character. He's not only entertaining on the surface level, but his character and personality traits are a perfect representation for the kind of story Gintama succeeds at being. When you're trying to make a crude, funny parody of shonen, you need a protagonist like Gin that contrasts the standard shonen protagonist. Yes, he's strong, yes, he fights for what he thinks is right, and yes, he does save the people he cares about, but that's about where the similarity to the standard shonen protagonist ends. He's not your innocent, bright-eyed shonen protagonist ready to take on the world and make new friends. That character you watch grow up and learn throughout the story. He still has all the personality traits necessary to have the intense plot a lot of us watch shonen for, and has all the other traits necessary to be the comedic parody Gintama is aiming to be. Gin is not number one. He isn't perfect. He's silver, not gold. But he still tries and cares, and all of these things, as well as all his unique traits, combined with how well he fits his story, makes Gin, the silver-haired devil, one of the 3 best protagonists in shonen. The last protagonist I'm talking about today is one many of you probably already know and love, Straw Hat Luffy from One Piece. Now, Luffy gets a fair bit of criticism within the One Piece fanbase. Many would argue that Luffy, as well as the rest of the other Straw Hats, don't really develop during the story, and that Luffy is a dumb character. First off, a lot of the Straw Hat pirates, including Luffy, actually do develop throughout the story. Zoro goes from saying he'd cut down Luffy if he stood in the way of his dream to asking the very man he aims to surpass to train him in order for Luffy to achieve his goal of becoming king of the pirates. Robin's relationship with the crew, as well as the way she interacts with the Straw Hats, develops, and Luffy, even though his personality remains nearly unchanged, develops. Luffy is someone who almost feels like an unstoppable force when going towards his dreams and doing the things that he wants to do. A man who will endlessly pursue his dreams and goals, who will let no obstacles get in the way of his journey, and who will take every threat head on. But then he's hit with a moment when he realizes he is not ready for his dream. He is not strong enough to protect his friends and the people he cares about, and he makes a decision to put his dream on hold for 2 whole years. That is a massive decision for Luffy, especially since we've seen throughout the story that Luffy is a character that is almost always mentally in the present and rarely ever thinks about anything in regards to the past or the future. And that's not even mentioning the fact that all the Straw Hats are all already developed before they're even introduced to the story. All of the Straw Hats, including Luffy, have a tragic past that shaped who they are and the outlook of the world they have today in the story. The characters of One Piece are interesting from the outset for the same reason Gin is interesting from the outset. They are all already developed. The things that make them who they are have already happened, and now they are more interesting and unique characters because of it. The other common criticism to Luffy is dumb. Luffy isn't dumb. He's actually quite smart and creative when he needs to be. But what Luffy is a man that, as I've mentioned previously, almost solely lives in the present. He is not worried about the consequences his actions might have in the future. He doesn't dwell on the past. He learned from his past mistakes, but keeps those lessons in the present. The present is the most important place to be. It's where you accomplish your goals, find happiness, and where you will be the most productive for your life. And Luffy embodies that living in the present mindset. This is where my own bias comes in. I idealize Luffy because I, like many people, often find myself depressed about the past and anxious about the future. And because I'm spending so much time and mental energy on those thoughts instead of the things I need to be doing to progress in life, I often feel I don't accomplish nearly as much as I should. Yes, I know it's not always a healthy mindset to always be in the present, and Luffy has proven that when he gets into these situations the fanbase calls him dumb for, but the important things, your happiness, your goals, your dreams, these are all things you can only progress and work towards in the present, and that's why Luffy is so happy all the time. That is why Luffy can accomplish all that he has and why he will be the next king of the pirates, because Luffy has mastered living in the present. Now, those aren't the only reasons Luffy is such a good character to me. As I've already talked about with Gin, I really respect authors that can create main characters whose personalities are a representation for the story, and Luffy does exactly that for One Piece. One Piece, first and foremost, is about adventure, journeying this wacky and wondrous world, which is why all the world building is so important to the story and loved by the fanbase. But One Piece is also a story about dreams, big dreams, dreams no one else ever thought were possible but you and the newcomer that believe in you. And who would be a better character to lead that call to adventure and to dream big than a man who encompasses living in the present? He will continue on and push forward and enjoy his adventure without the slightest worry or doubt. He will dream big and not worry if that dream is even really possible in the future, and instead just go full throttle in the present at that goal. And that is why Luffy is the last of my 3 favorite shonen protagonists. So, am I right? Are these 3 characters the best protagonists in shonen, or am I letting my biases cloud my vision? Comment down below whether you think I'm right or wrong and who you would change on this list. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, because there will be more videos coming, and I know I said in the end of my last video I should be cautious on this platform and not poke the bear, and then I start this video off poking the bear. So we'll see how that turns out. We might have doomed this channel before we even had a chance to be picked up by the algorithm boys, but that terrible edit I made at the beginning just felt too funny not to use. If you're still here, for some reason, you can check out my new series where I take a retrospective look at Gintama on the right and a video about how Gintama is slept on the left. Feel free to check them out if you made it through this video. You might actually enjoy them. Well, that's all for this video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.